Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into something that trips up so many English learners. Prepositions of place. You know those tiny little words like in, on, and at that tell us where things are. They might seem small, but they are mighty. Mastering them is a total game changer for sounding more natural and fluent. So, are you ready to finally figure out where everything goes? Let's get started. First up, let's tackle the big three: in, on, and at. Think of them as a set of Russian nesting dolls. Going from the largest, most general space to the smallest, most specific point, we use in for enclosed spaces or large areas. Imagine a box. Anything you put inside it is in the box. The same logic applies to bigger things. You live in a city, like in London. You live in a country, like in Canada. You can be in a room, in a building, or in a car. It's also used for liquids in a container, like the milk is in the jug, or for things you read, like a story in a book or an article in a newspaper. Simple, right? If it has boundaries and you can be inside it, in is your word. For example, my keys are in my pocket, and I saw a beautiful painting in the museum. Now let's move on to on. On is all about surfaces. Think of a table. You place a book on the table. Your computer is on your desk. The picture is hanging on the wall. It's not inside the wall. It's on the surface of the wall. We also use on for floors in a building, like my office is on the 3rd floor. And here's a common one. For transportation, where you can stand or walk around, like on a bus, on a train, or on a plane. So, you'd say, the cat is sleeping on the sofa, not in the sofa, unless it's somehow burrowed inside the cushions. Another example, don't leave your wet towel on the bed. Finally, we have at. At is the most specific of the three. It pinpoints an exact location or a specific point. You are at the bus stop, not in it or on it. You arrive at the airport. You are waiting at the entrance. We also use at for specific addresses with a number, like I live at 72 Maple Street. It's also used for public places or buildings, when we think of them as a point for an activity, like let's meet at the cinema, or I was at the library all day. Think of at as dropping a pin on a map. It's that precise spot. She's waiting for you at the corner. So let's do a quick recap. In for enclosed spaces and large areas. On for surfaces, and at for specific points. In a city, on a street, at an address. See the progression from big to small. I live in New York on Broadway at number 1500. It's like zooming in with a camera. This simple trick will help you get it right most of the time. But of course, English loves its exceptions, so practice is key. Try to notice how native speakers use them in movies and songs. Now that we've covered the basics, let's explore some more useful prepositions that describe spatial relationships. What about above and over? They both mean at a higher level. But there's a subtle difference. Above just means something is higher, but not necessarily directly on top of something else. For example, the stars are above us in the sky. They aren't directly touching or covering the sky. Over, on the other hand, often implies covering or crossing. Think of a bridge that goes over a river. It crosses from one side to the other. Or you might put a blanket over yourself when you're cold. It covers you. You can also jump over a puddle. So, while a lamp might hang above the table, if it's directly on top, a plane flies over the city. A subtle but important distinction. Let's look at the opposites, under and below. These are more interchangeable than above and over. Both mean at a lower level. You could say, the cat is hiding under the bed, or the temperature is below 0. Under often suggests that something is physically covered by what's on top of it. Like our cat example. Below is often used for levels or scales, like the temperature example. Or, his apartment is below mine. But honestly, in many everyday situations, you can use either. For example, the treasure is buried under the ground, or the treasure is buried below the ground. Both work perfectly. Next, let's navigate with near, by, and next to. These words all tell us something is close. Near is the most general. I live near a park just means a park is a short distance from my home. By and next to are a bit more specific and often interchangeable. They mean something is right beside something else. The bank is next to the post office, or the bank is by the post office. Both imply they are side by side. You could also say, he stood by the window, looking out. This implies he was right there, beside it. So, near means close in general, while by and next to mean immediately adjacent. What about moving through things? For that, we use through. Imagine walking through a forest. You start on one side and come out the other. You can look through a window or drive through a tunnel. It implies movement from one end of an enclosed or dense space to the other. The train went through a long, dark tunnel. It's different from being in the tunnel, which just describes your location at a single moment. Through emphasizes the entire journey from entrance to exit. Another pair that can be confusing is among and between. Between is used when talking about two, and only two, separate people or things. The ball rolled between the two cars. Or, I'm sitting between my two best friends. It's about the space that separates two distinct items. Among, however, is used when you're talking about three or more people or things, or a group that isn't clearly separated. She found her lost earring among the leaves on the ground. There are many leaves, not just two. Or, there is a spy among us. This means one person within a larger group. So remember, between for two, among for three or more or a crowd. Let's finish up with a few more tricky ones. Behind and in front of. These are pretty straightforward opposites. Behind means at the back of something. The garden is behind the house. In front of means at the front of something. There's a big tree in front of my window. Simple enough, right? But be careful. Don't confuse in front of with opposite. Opposite means on the other side, facing each other. The bank is opposite the supermarket. This means you have to cross the street to get from one to the other. If the bank was in front of the supermarket, it would be blocking the entrance. Wow, we've covered a lot today. From in, on, and at, to among and between. The best way to master these is to use them. Create your own sentences. Describe the room you're in right now. Where is your phone? Is it on the table? In your pocket? Where are you sitting? At your desk? In an armchair? The more you practice, the more natural it will become. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn. Thank you so much for joining me today to untangle the world of prepositions. I hope this guide was helpful. If you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more English learning tips. Hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next video. Let me know in the comments below which prepositions you find the trickiest. Thanks for watching and see you next time.